Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. I want to thank all of you guys here on YouTube, as well as New Tech, for your guys' continued support.
We start things off from Reuters. U.S. East Coast blanketed in veil of smoke from Canadian fires. Now, I have to question sometimes on what lenses and or filters some of the media are using, because I think they're kind of fudging things a little bit when it comes to some of these images, because you can see some that look clear and what would regular smoke would look like. And then, of course, they may enhance the colors with filters or not use the proper lens opacity to gather in light to make it look as it actually appears. But nonetheless, guys, New York, June 7th. Schools across the U.S. East Coast canceled outdoor activities. Airline traffic slowed, and millions of Americans were urged to stay indoors on Wednesday as smoke from Canadian wildfires drifted south, blanketing cities in thick yellow haze. At least that was the way it was captured by the media. The U.S. National Weather Service issued air quality alerts for virtually the entire Atlantic seaboard. Health officials from Vermont to South Carolina, as far west as Ohio and Kansas, warned residents that spending time outdoors could cause respiratory problems due to high levels of fine particulates in the atmosphere. Now, of course, we have all these individuals that are climate control concerned, or, concerned with the climate activists, climate militants, however you want to phrase them or define them. And yet, of course, man will still create situations, or even nature will create situations that are far more catastrophic, at least in the present current time, than, say, like climate change or climate issues over periods of hundreds of years. So from Yahoo Life, plotting revenge on Canada. American backlash over Canadian wildfire smoke makes little sense, experts say, because, of course, the winds are blowing it down here. There's the certain direction that air flows on the planet. So it's obviously going to be being blown down into New York. Now, see, here's more of an accurate perspective of what the smoke looks like in comparison to, say, when they go with these either low opacity lenses, say for example, using a 60 millimeter versus a 50 millimeter or whatever, because the professional cameras can do really well. So I would say here's more of a proper representation. Now, it's not uncommon for it to look amber and brown color, particularly during sandstorms in particular. But nonetheless, guys, Americans in eastern cities like New York City, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore are taking to social media to vent about poor air quality as a result of wildfires burning in Quebec. It's interesting because it is Canada, so I don't see like the left and others, progressives, really after Canada, because Canada and or their government shares a lot of the ideology, philosophies, and worldviews of the left. But as you can see here, we got 16 U.S. states from Vermont to South Carolina, as we said earlier. Meanwhile, flights bound for New York's LaGuardia are being issued a ground stop. And so you kind of see here, like he says, the darn smoke from Canada. Ooh, that darn smoke. Wild forest fires is killing U.S. here in New York. Well, maybe it is, but I mean, isn't your local leaders, your Democrat officials there also creating an extraordinary level of problems for your state as is? But nonetheless, of course, here, and I guess this is their revenge here. We're plotting revenge on Canada. Of course, I would mention what they're doing there, but of course, I don't want to get a age restriction on the channel. And ladies and gentlemen, the impact is felt across even during Pride Month. What? From the New York Post, Pride Month party at White House. Not sure why I said it that way. Scrapped over wildfire smoke in D.C. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Let's take a quick look. Now you can see here, this looks more indicative and representative of what I was talking about, like when they're doing, showing what the smoke looks like, as opposed to the extraordinarily, maybe fudged color of the amber. But as you can see here, now I've experienced this myself when we had wildfires, or when there were wildfires down in Florida. When I worked in law, I used to have to go to Macon, Georgia, which is, still several hundred, about 2 hours away from the Florida line. And I could smell the smoke from the wildfires down in Florida during that time when I was in Macon. Washington, the White House proposed a Pride Month party with singer Betty Who, scheduled for Thursday night as smoke. What is this? The White House has postponed, a Pride Month party with singer Betty. I'm just making up stuff as I go along here, guys. Betty Who scheduled for Thursday night as smoke from Canadian wildfires enveloped the nation's capital. President Biden, 80, for whatever reason, if you guys need to know how old he was, has suffered from asthma since his childhood. DC, what doesn't, okay, wait, they're able to recognize that Biden had a speech impediment or issue, which I've never seen if you go back and look at any of his old videos, and now he's got respiratory issues. I mean, they're talking about everything this man suffers from, but actual cognition issues, especially those with health issues, were warned by authorities to stay indoors as the thick, toxic smoke wafted into town Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The haze obscured iconic views of the Washington Monument and Capitol after drastically reducing visibility in the Big Apple Wednesday and obscuring the Manhattan skyline in an orange tin shroud. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So all the way down to Washington, D.C., and I've even heard into North Carolina, that the impact of the smoke is there. And it is there. And here's Biden demonstrating this air quality chart from the White House, actually explaining the obvious in this chart. But, you know, well, he can do whatever he wants to, I guess. So I find it kind of fascinating. And, of course, the reporting, as I said, just indicative to the way the images are presented. You see here from Robert W. Malone, M.D., trust the mainstream media? I think not. The wildfires are not drought-related, according to data from the Canadian government. Well, it's possibly true, because the standard of the way media is done in Canada is they hold their media accountable for information that is a bit exaggerated or sensationalized or stretched a bit. Of course, as we saw when they pursued Fox News over Dominion, when Tucker Carlson was given an opinion about the alleged or the issues with the Dominion software, but nonetheless, guys. So, of course, he's questioning all this, and, of course, you have people from Canada here says, I live in the province of Quebec, and I can confirm that it can't be drought. It can't be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got MDs here. You're saying thank you to these people. What's the cause then? I don't know, but arson, electrical storms, or high winds can cause fires. Lots of reasons for fires. That's right. I'm not sure why I even mentioned anything here. The U.S. media getting this wrong. Say it ain't so. But nonetheless, guys, and we're going to look here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to look at some of the air quality from back in March. And as you can see here on the meter, you see orange is, I think orange is high, and then red is extremely high. And then, of course, it goes down to medium and low. But you can see here the air quality here in Atlanta, just from pollen, like during pollen season, you see all the red here. And you can see the pollen count there in the various numbers. And I've seen these pollen counts in the way high thousands, 6,000 all the way up to 9,000. Just absolutely stunning. So this was back in March. And April, of course, April is just as bad here in Atlanta when it comes to air quality. And as you can see here, just from the regular air, this is not even, like, if you go downtown, of course, there's going to be levels of pollution there and around the airport. But as of now, in June, the air quality is a little bit better, as you can see here. So moderate in most cases, if not low. But I can empathize greatly with New York and Washington and other parts of the United States, because I've experienced it too when the wildfires were down there in Florida. Thankfully, it didn't get as high up as where I live, but definitely when I was down in Macon, I could definitely experience that sensation of smoke there. And I'm not a big fan of smoke, not a big fan of any, I mean, I don't mind like the smell of cigarette smoke from a distance or tobacco smoke, but like when it's right there and it's just like constantly on you and there's no way around it, it's really kind of a little concerning, especially if you have breathing issues, if you have respiratory issues. I mean, it does have an impact, because I know I have allergies, and when March and April roll around here in Georgia, or just in the summer when everybody's out cutting their grass, getting everything prepared in their yard and stuff, oh boy, I can feel it. Yes, sir, indeed. But nonetheless, guys, that's what I had for you this Friday.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. All of you guys here on YouTube and on New Tech, thank you for all the continued support. And below this video, you can find the various links to my Amazon. That would be my direct page that you guys can use as your landing page. So if you have Amazon Prime or order frequently, order from that link. And of course, that will help out the channel. And all of your guys' support is greatly appreciated. And of course, all of you here on YouTube, that would be the channel icon appearing there on the screen. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. And I'll see all you guys right there behind the Galaxy SE21 FE Edition camera next week.